Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and in this video I'll be going over the various discounts and bonuses that are now active in GTA Online as of Thursday the 10th of March 2022. All of these are going to be available for 2 weeks until Thursday the 24th of March. The podium vehicle this week is the Zion Classic, which can be won by spinning the lucky wheel in the casino. It's in the Sports Classics class and normally sets you back just over $800,000. It's not on the top pace for Sports Classics races and it's not particularly great to drive, but it's there for free if you've always wanted it. The prize ride this week is the Comet S2 Cabrio, which can be won by winning a pursuit race for 5 days in a row, then claiming it at the LS Car Meet Slam Truck. It's in the sports class and normally costs you just under $1.8 million. It does have a decent top speed and is a decently interesting car to drive, but I'm not sure it's worth the effort required to win it, to be honest. The premium race this week is a Sign of Things to Come, which is an old style point-to-point race in the city for the motorcycles class. As usual, the Shitaro and Hakucho drag will be your best bets here. Also, the regular town trial this week is Up Chiliad, which you can see being completed later in the video alongside the premium race track, with the RC time trial being Davis Quartz. In terms of regular vehicle discounts, you'll be able to get 30% off the Cheetah Classic, which is a top tier car for the Sports Classics class, and the Tulip, which very much isn't a top tier car for the Muscle class. There's also 25% off the new Buffalo STX, which is completely dominant in the Muscle class since it's basically a sports car. There's also 40% off the Sea Sparrow and Alpha Z1, 30% off the Sea Breeze, Ultralight, Vellum 5-seater and Tula, plus 15% off the Hydra. If you're getting deja vu, it's because these are all the exact same discounts that we had 2 weeks ago. You can of course find out the lap times, top speeds and tiers of all the vehicles that I've mentioned here by checking out the playlist and video links in the description and pinned comment. I'd also like to thank Apex Gaming PCs for sponsoring today's video. I've partnered up with Apex to create a custom line of PCs for gaming, streaming and content creation. On my personal page you'll find 3 different PC configurations named the Muscle Car, Sports Car and Supercar, and all 3 can be customized to your own tastes. They also now offer rush shipping if you really need that new PC as quickly as possible. Use the link in the description to head to my custom PC page and use code Bruffy to get 5% off. Other miscellaneous bonuses this week include triple money on air freight and air races, which again are the same bonuses that we had 2 weeks ago, plus double money on Franklin and Lamar short trip missions and hunting pack adversary mode. There's also 40% off hangars and hangar renovations. In terms of my deal of the week, it can only be the Buffalo STX. Even though it's only 25% off, if you still don't have it yet and you think you'll ever do any muscle class race, you need it. While there's no telling what the next gen versions of the game will bring next week, it's hard to see the Buffalo STX ever being beaten unless Rockstar decide to add a car that's more on old supercar pace to the muscle class. And now it's time for the news and discussion segment of the video where I ramble on for a few minutes about something while you watch me complete this week's town trial and showcase the track for the premium race. So I kind of rushed through everything because there wasn't an awful lot and a lot of it was just copy pasting of 2 weeks ago, the discounts that we had there, because I wanted to get to this part of the video because we've got a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to the next gen versions of the game which are releasing next week, and we got a lot of information about them. But before we get into that, the video containing all the time trials in the adder was finally released. I've been talking about it for a few weeks. If you didn't see it, I'll leave a link to it in the pinned comment in the description and in the card in the top right on the video as well. Every single time trial completed in the adder. Just an amazing sort of experience to have finally done that, and obviously big thank you to Oleg for being able to make that video possible with the 3 time trials that he contributed for, one of which you're seeing now with Up Chiliad. If you want all of the background on how that all started and why it all started, I left a big pinned comment on that video which basically explains everything, so I won't go over it here, but just wanted to let everybody know that that's finally out. Every single time trial done in an adder. It's kind of really nice, and it's perfect to sort of end GTA on PS4 with. Speaking of the end of GTA on PS4, more details have come about from talking about the expanded and enhanced editions for PS5 and Xbox Series X. But they're not called the expanded and enhanced editions anymore. Rockstar have decided to not bother with that name. They've got rid of that name, so it's just GTA 5 and GTA Online for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. for those who don't know, at this point, that those are the new gen versions of the game. They're exclusive to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. You're not going to be getting any of the content that comes with those games to PC at the moment, or PS4 and Xbox One. And they're never going to come to PS4 and Xbox One, that content. Whether it'll come to PC, we just don't know at this point. It's basically exactly the same as when we went from Xbox 360 and PS3 versions to the current games. So these new versions of the games, Rockstar have told us that there's going to be new graphics modes, which basically boils down to either 4K native with 30 FPS or 4K upscaled with 60 FPS. There's no word on whether that will carry over to online or if that's just single player, maybe with online being set at something in particular, given GTA Online is usually a little bit more demanding. But I at least hope that it'll be, better than 1080p and 60 FPS for GTA Online, even if we can't get native 4K or whatever for GTA Online. And I really hope that they don't allow people to choose a different, resolution or frame rate, I should say, for GTA Online, because you're going to be having people at 60 FPS with faster cars than people at 30 FPS. But anyway, single player game transfers and GTA Online character transfers are going to be available, again just the same way that it was back for the old gen versions to the current gen versions. From PS4 or Xbox One versions to PS5 or Xbox Series X and S versions, you can transfer cross-platform. So you can go from Xbox One to PS5, PS5 to Xbox Series X, PS4 to Xbox Series X, and yeah, there's going to be no transfers from PC, which kind of makes sense, but again, there's no word about PC for any of this. Everything that's tied to your character will transfer, including money, cars, created jobs and races, businesses, etc. Basically, whatever state your character is in on PS4, for example, is exactly the state that you'll find it in when you transfer it to PS5 or Xbox Series X. But the progress won't sync up from that point on. It'll be like having two separate characters on the two different platforms. So if you do something on PS5, it's not going to affect the PS4 character, and vice versa. The only thing that won't transfer is any shark card money if you're moving your character between two different platforms. So from Xbox One to PS5, for example. So make sure you spend that on something before you do the transfer. Now, actually doing the character transfer will get you, as it says in one of the Newswire posts, all of which I'll link in the description so you can catch up on everything if you've missed it, a fully converted Karin S95 souped up by the experts at House Special Works, along with a House Special Work racing outfit and a new set of chameleon paints usable on all vehicles. So it looks like we're going to get a new set of paints for just all vehicles. Obviously, House Special Works is something that we've talked about in the past. That's going to be basically like the new place to upgrade these new vehicles. It's kind of like Benny's, but obviously, again, this is all exclusive to the PS5 and Series X and S versions. And if you do a character transfer, you'll get one of the new cars, which is going to be a Karin S95, fully upgraded for free. So there's an incentive to do a character transfer. We, to be honest, still don't know an awful lot about the improvements to GTA Online with the new versions. We might hear more today or in the next few days. Since they've focused on talking more about single player improvements, it could just be like a small DLC with House Special Works and obviously some new vehicles and new upgrades for the older vehicles that's been talked about. But beyond that, we just don't know, especially when it comes to quality of life changes. We'll find out when it's released. Speaking of when it's released, it's actually releasing at midnight local time, wherever you are, on Tuesday. So midnight, Monday night going into Tuesday morning at midnight, you'll be able to access the new versions of the game. You can preload them now if you've bought it, or I'll talk about prices. But if you're on Xbox Series X or S or PS5, you can preload it already, and it will become available at midnight. I'll of course be streaming, and I'm planning to stream on the Monday at around 11 AM. I should have access to the game on the Monday, So I'm hoping to be streaming then, so feel free to follow the Twitch channel, or make sure you just keeping track of the YouTube channel. I'll usually put up a video if it's all going to work fine. But yeah, I'm hoping to be streaming on Monday at 11 a.m. I'll probably stream a little bit earlier than that, but we'll go through everything, and I'll even do like a live comparison between the old gen version, well, let's say the current version, and the new version. We'll sort of do maybe a blind test to see if people can see the difference between the two, and we'll compare the graphics side by side. So yeah, there'll be all sorts to cover, obviously, and I'm going to treat it like a DLC day, but that'll be on the Monday, hopefully, as long as everything works. We did actually get some info about how Special works, and it says in one of the Newswire posts, this new generation of GTA Online includes a range of new vehicles and a new addition to the Los Santos car meet, How Special Works. How Special Works encompasses best-in-class vehicle upgrades, a new class of racers using specially modified vehicles, and a weekly rotation of How Special Works time trials, along with a premium test ride where you can get behind the wheel of these newly modified vehicles for free. So it's basically an expansion to the car meet, the Los Santos car meet. There's going to be a certain area, I imagine, probably in the same way that we had the casino, and then the underground music locker that you had to go to start Cayo Perico, and nobody ever went to it ever again. Hopefully How Special Works get a little bit more attention, but there's going to be new vehicles and existing vehicles that can all be upgraded at How Special Works in the same way as Benny's vehicles, for example, and they're going to have their own class of racers, their own class of time trials, probably only using those vehicles. And again, those vehicles are only going to be available on the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S versions of the game. They're not even coming to PC, at least not immediately. Rockstar just haven't said anything about that. So it's going to be interesting, because it's going to be one of the first times in a long time. I mean, I've experienced this back in the 2014 days, but we're not going to have any extra information about these cars. All of the extra information is always taken from PC when it comes to looking at the handling files, looking at, or say, for example, finding out that the car is all-wheel drive with 35% of the power to the front wheels and 65% to the rear wheels. All that kind of stuff always comes from the handling files that we get from the PC version. We're not going to have that this time. And it's kind of exciting, to be honest, to be going into it in completely unknown for the first time in a long time. And also that extends to drip feed vehicles. If Rockstar decide to, like they normally do with a DLC, they might release 10 vehicles initially and keep 7 or 8 back to be released one at a time, week after week, every Thursday. If they do that this time, we're not going to know what those vehicles are until they actually release, which is kind of fun. It's kind of fun to be back like that again. We're not going to be able to sort of go into the PC version and spawn them by looking at the handling files, because then these things aren't going to be on PC. We did also get some information about the new career builder. So those who are new to the game, GTA Online, or want to reset your character for the new versions, you can use this new career builder where you can choose from executive, gunrunner, nightclub owner, or biker, all of which will get you $4 million to purchase the relevant properties and whatever else you need to get started. But you're only allowed to take $1 million of that into GTA Online with you, which is probably something I'd try to do, so that you're halfway there to buying a Kasatka to be able to do the Cayo Perico heist, because that's really the main money maker. Although $4 million doesn't go very far these days, so this is really only aimed at new players, to be honest. You're probably in most instances better off sticking with your current character if you've got any amount of businesses or cars or anything like that, and especially if you've already got a Kasatka for the Cayo Perico heist, you're just going to be better off sticking with your current character and transferring it. And finally, we did get pricing information as well. So under normal circumstances, the new version of GTA 5, which will come with GTA Online as well, will be $40. The standalone version of GTA Online, if you don't want the single player, will be half that at $20. However, both versions will be 50% off for the first 3 months, so they'll cost you $20 for the full game and $10 for the online portion. But then again, for those on PS5, GTA Online is going to be completely free for the first 3 months, and that affects the price of the full game as well. That means that up until June, you can get the new versions of the full game on Xbox Series consoles for $20 and for $10 on PS5. And if you're only interested in the online portion, you can simply add the PS5 version of GTA Online Standalone to your library and it'll be yours to keep forever. Even if you don't have a PS5 yet, you can try adding it to your library via the PlayStation Mobile app, although reports about that working have been spotty, so your mileage may vary. In terms of the prices, it's relatively fair. I think it's okay. It depends on what they actually do, but I was saying before we knew the prices that the online portion should probably be like $5 to $10 maximum, and they've done just that, with it obviously being free on PS5 as well. But these should be the standard prices in my opinion. You know, the fact that these are all the prices, these are the prices after all the discounts, and those are only going to be for the first 3 months. I'd rather see these just be the prices. I don't think the full version all over again is worth another $40. Obviously that'll be the price in 3 months time, so if you're going to get any of these, try to get them early. But I guess it's up to Rockstar to make me feel otherwise. I suppose we'll find out in a few days time whether it will be a worthy upgrade for that kind of price tag after all the discounts have left. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Again, not having all the vehicles on PC, so we don't know what's coming, and just going to be like old times where we've got to test it all out and try it all out and see what it's all about. I'll be doing that, like I said, on the stream, hopefully on Monday morning, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll try to do a stream to YouTube as well that will, again, as I normally do with these things, the Twitch stream is where we'll sort of explore everything together, and then the YouTube stream will sort of summarize everything, and then you can watch that as a video afterwards that will, you know, just get down to the basics. So again, I'll be back with another video just like this in 2 weeks time when there's more updates to talk about and more discounts on the 24th of March. But until then, it's going to be all about the new expanded and enhanced editions, which are no longer called expanded and enhanced, on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Let me know if you have a PS5 or a Series X or S and you're going to be playing these new versions. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you don't have one either. I'd be interested to see what the ratio is there. But that's pretty much it for this one. Feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my content about these new versions over the next week. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.